Join me as we talk all things true crime.
Made contact and shattered.
Liberty, a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called the in about that the mother has written her a wall. Came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her.
Turn it over to another agency. Let's get some help.
Where are your kids? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Dad, where are Lori's kids?
4 were stabbed multiple times and were likely asleep during the attack. Some had defensive wounds.
Most of them had just like one that was the lethal stab wound.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for being here for another ATS News live stream. We are digging into the Chris Watts case all over again with my friend CDT, who will be joining us. If you want more Watts content on TikTok, CDT actually has dedicated her one account of TikTok on there to true crime. Specifically, there will be some Watts content on there. So I have it in chat. And I have it in the description box too for replay viewers. And then once the live is over, I can link it in the comment section down below and I'll pin the comment. So it'll be my documentary pinned and then her TikTok account. So follow us both, subscribe, like this video if you haven't. And hello, everybody who's joining us in the live chat. We have a group that has 51,000 people in it covering this case. It's a private group on Facebook. Join that group. It's in the description box, but that is one of the main reasons why we are doing this case deep dive, because there's just a demand for people who want more answers and for us to go through this case together as we've done years ago and for years since this took place on Kelly's channel and then here on my channel. So her channel, her TikTok, all that will be linked and you can find more of our thoughts and opinions on this case on those platforms also. So Pointer Lover, Sue, Kent, Tony, it's good to see you guys. Pointer Lover coming through with the member banner of 17 months. Thank you so much for everything that you do for the channel and to support me. It really means a lot. And I don't forget the people who have been here, you know, that long and longer. And Marshall Dove says, nothing like Watts as a break from Delphi. Geez, I know it's too much. I had, even if Kelly wasn't going to come on tonight, I was like, I need to just do something other than Delphi right now, just to kind of break things up a little bit. And hello, Mac J, good to see you. And Midwest Mima and everyone else who's joined us. So thank you again for being here. And hello, Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? How is everyone in chat?
We're just chilling.
Good.
Okay, I don't know. Okay, I didn't know if there was an echo. Hello, Desiree. It's good to see you. Some of the people I haven't seen since we were on your channel covering this. So when I come in chat, I'm like, I know this person. Hi, Angie. Good to see you. So I don't know what I want to do before we start digging back into the body cam footage, which took place. I think we left off when they came back later in the evening, still on day one, and they have the court-ordered search warrant, and they're going through the house. Let me just pull up that visual. This is pretty much where we left off, and we were discussing how, you know, that was the last place that Chris has told the officers that he's seen his wife. She was in that bed, and we just pointed out that, you know, all these officers are in the house touching things without gloves on. Now, I got a lot of comments from people, and I know that you've heard these comments too, where they say things like, hi, Johnny, good to see you. They say things like, well, it wasn't being treated as a murder case, so that's why they acted the way they did. Like when we're referencing no gloves and touching that residue that was in the stairwell with his bare hands. You know, people, I understand that they want to believe that everything that they did was tip top and accurate in this case, but you know, there's other cases that take place, and even one currently in New York that they just stated that they showed up at the house, and this is totally separate from Watts, but 2 children were deceased. They were sent home sick over the weekend, like the Friday before, and found by their mother on Monday. And officers pretty much treated the scene, and it says it right in the article, they treated it like a crime scene because they just don't know what to think of it, and that's the thought process that I have with the Watts case too. Like, they left, they came back with the court ordered search warrant. From that point on, like, that was even more reason to go through with the search warrant and have everything tip top and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree, especially once, like you said, I guess maybe before they got the signed search warrant, that could be argued, but I completely agree. After we see Watts in the road, he has his shake and he signs away the house, basically. Gloves, in my opinion, should have been on. And again, it wasn't just like one adult missing, it was a pregnant woman and two minor children. And so, yeah, I completely agree that I guess I can see, like, yeah, we didn't know that it was a crime at that point, but there was a missing woman, two minor children, and it was just absolutely treated so carelessly, in my opinion.
And even with Sandy saying this is not normal, my daughter wouldn't leave without her phone or the medication for the kids. Even with Chris saying if they left, they must have been taken out the back. Like, all that was stated before this search warrant came back.
Yes, and Nate's camera has always bothered me. The fact that Coonrod was over there, a neighbor who, by all accounts, knew them, was saying Chris acted odd. And again, I'm not saying that Nate was best friends with him, but Coonrod didn't really know. But he was being told he's acting odd. That we don't see Shanann's Lexus leave, nobody coming and going, etc. Only Chris loading the truck. And yeah, still, it just seemed like none of that was really taken into account.
Yeah. And again, thank you everyone joining. I see Sherry's here and Matt Bond is here. Hi, Chase. And other people have joined too. Hi, Derek. Good to see you. So the other things that I want to go through before we get back into this body cam was, I don't know if you guys seen in the Facebook groups and just floating around, other creators have even covered it. This new breaking news, new information that the FBI gave the public and all that. So let me just pull up that article because, it is the talk right now of the Watts case. And I hate to disappoint people, but this just was not new information. It can easily be checked by going through the discovery. This was published the December 5th. So Inside Edition is stating that FBI released new details. None of this is new. I won't even bother reading this whole thing, but newly released file on the case, that's a lie. We pulled it up. It's completely redacted for the most part, but I kept thinking, like, I've seen this information before. Like, this isn't new to us. This is when we were kind of discovered the capabilities of what his work truck could indicate and show us, if seatbelts were used, all this stuff we've covered on your channel, in our Facebook groups. It was almost like common knowledge in the case. So it says this means that the system located in Watt's vehicle could not only show him driving from his home to the oil site where he disposed of his family, but also potentially show that 3 seatbelts and not one were buckled inside the car before he set off that drive. So we already knew that it could potentially show that. None of the information in the files actually says this was Watt's vehicle, this was what it showed. They never made it that far in the process of the investigation where we got those answers. And the answers that we did get from the geotab, which is the GPS on his truck, we've already gone through. So all that, we can go through again, but it's just interesting that Inside Edition tried to release this stuff as new. And then I noticed if we scroll down again, it just keeps putting out the narrative that Chris acted alone, the typical mainstream media narrative with this case. And then it says, once there, he buried Shanann in a shallow grave and smothered his 2 daughters with his bare hands. He disposed of their bodies in 2 giant oil drums. Footage from a 7-Eleven shows Watts just a short time later casually grabbing some breakfast. Now, that never was Chris. Remember when they put out that image and video of some guy in the orange shirt, Kelly? And we were like, what is this? Like, it's not
Yes.
Chris.
Yep.
So for those who don't know that, it was never Chris to begin with. And yet this article that was posted is still repeating this fake news. And I want to know who like even put that out in the media as being Chris. You know what I mean? Because somebody clearly had to get that CCTV footage, and then somebody clearly gave it to media to spin this whole like he grabbed breakfast after he did what he did.
Mm-hmm.
So Kessinger told authorities that when she met Watts, he told her that he and Shanann were separated and in the process of getting divorced. So again, this new article with new information just putting out the same narrative of like her being clueless and not knowing, when we've gone through so many times. I'm done with this article. How many the only footage we have of Chris anywhere is actually this footage from the date night of NK. But once again, we just have mainstream media putting out this narrative and claiming this is new information. Other channels were claiming this is new information. It's just not. Unfortunately, we don't have any new information at all. The only CCTV footage of Chris is 2 days before the murder. So this is after his little lazy dog date night with NK. I've sped this up a little bit because I think he's at the ATM at this moment, supposedly grabbing money for the babysitter. Again, it's just why the mainstream has to kind of put out this narrative every few years, actually every year, even with like the Lifetime movie that was quickly pushed out there real quick to kind of push this narrative. They're still doing it. And yet here we are, we're going to do another hour and a half digging through this and putting out our opinion on the same information that, they were gathering and gave to the media. So just to reiterate, that footage of him in the orange shirt is not Chris. This is Chris, and it's not the day of the murders. So again, just something I want to lay out there. While this plays, I do want to refresh a little bit on Shanann Watts' text messages over summer, some of them the week of her murder, because I think with a lot to kind of go through, her voice sometimes gets lost in all this information and body cam footage and all that. And I want to just read her texts that she had with her friends and with her, just a few of them. We obviously have way more, but we're just going to kind of put in a little bit of Shanann before we dig into the case again. So July 10th, there were signs of tension between Watts and his wife. And it says, oh wait, on the screen, it's talking about how after the date, she looked up Shanann, their house address, and Ronnie Watts. And I'm curious why you guys think she did that.
Those searches have always bothered me. I really, again, not trying to get too sidetracked, but I really do feel like it is possible, and in my opinion, it's very likely that he was trying to get away from NK at the Lazy Dog. He says in prison, if he had not gone on that date, maybe a light bulb in my head would have gone off, a light bulb in her head would have gone off, and things would have gone a different direction. NK also said that he seemed distant that night. So I feel like those searches are extremely relevant to this entire thing. I mean, when and why exactly did Chris tell NK his dad's name was Ronnie? Did she find that on her own? Like, why is she Googling the address when she already knew how to get there? So many questions.
I agree. And we all know that Ronnie was so important and is so important to Chris. So, hi Holly, it's good to see you. It just troubles me. She says she wanted to look up all his stuff in general. She needed to know everything about him. And it troubles me that she looks up somebody who means the most to him next to, maybe his kids and wife prior to all this. You know what I mean? Like Ronnie is closer to him than his sister, closer to him than his mother. It's always been he wanted to be like his dad. And if you think that somebody's going to be backing out of a plan and you kind of want to like instill fear in them or something, like would you look into people close to them and kind of use that as like leverage, like, oh, well, how would you feel if we blah 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 and your dad knew or something like that, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's just I can't help but wonder, is that sort of like a threat or something, like I don't know, but it's just strange timing.
Yeah, and allegedly didn't she say that she hosted Daniel, aka Danielle, that weekend? That's another thing that still kind of hangs me up. If she hosted her friend, I would love to know more about the timeline of that. Where was the friend staying? When I think hosted, I wonder, how long was she there? Like, so many questions about that as well for me.
Yeah, I agree. And that's where like my imagination kind of wanders, and whatever took place on the 11th was so significant that it's just, especially with the searches that she was doing of sexually explicit material too. It's
Yes.
just I don't know. The more I learn about certain like demonic rituals too, like all that type of stuff is tied into it. So in case you guys don't know what I'm trying to say, by reading between the lines, if you look up what she was looking up as far as pornography, and you look up some ritualistic like satanic stuff, like it's similar. That's all I can say.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, back to July. Says Shanann asked Watts, "You okay? It's like you don't want to talk. I keep trying to talk and I have to dig it out of you." Watts replied, "I'm fine, baby. The last few days at work have put a lot of responsibility on me with new people. I didn't mean to seem short, boo. I love you to the moon and back." Shanann responded, "I miss you and I feel like you just want to work out and run." Watts claimed running helps clear his mind. It's a way to free it all. Shanann didn't buy the excuse. "I wish my husband wanted to talk to me." So then on the 7th of August, she's talking to a friend and she says, "Chris told me last night he's scared to death about his third baby and he's happy with just Bella and Celeste and doesn't want another baby. He's just scared. Everything will be fine once the baby comes. Addie, he has changed. I don't know who he is." "What do you mean?" "He hasn't touched me all week, kissed me, talked to me, except for when I'm trying to figure out what is wrong." "What? That doesn't sound like Chris. Did he go to the appointment?" "Yes, but cold. Addie, I have no idea what happened. I go through his phone, make sure there isn't some other bitch I have to kill. This is total left field," Shanann says. "Why? No to counseling?" "Totally is out of left field. He said he's not sitting on no damn couch saying what he just said to me to no stranger." So there were attempts made even outside of that book that was found in the trash. And thank you for gifting the memberships. I really appreciate that. I know I pulled them up on the screen earlier, Derek, but thank you so much. Um, anyways, I feel like there is proof of her kind of scrambling to fix things. And by then, things were just so long gone for Chris, because of the mistress. I feel that, she was never able to kind of rope him back in. And like you said, he might have been kind of playing around with the idea of backing out, and whatever took place Saturday, I don't know.
Yeah, because okay, remember when she left for Arizona? Didn't she leave him a note or something where she said, "Thank you for letting me hold you. Like we had the best talk yet." Like I don't know, I just can't help but wonder if he hadn't gone to the lazy dog, like would anything be different, like he kind of said in prison. Again, I don't trust him, but at the same time, when I take what he says plus what NK says, plus what Shanann had said, it really just makes me wonder.
I know. And like Desiree said, he was really gaslighting her at the end. He was afraid to confront her about anything. I think he did her, and while she was sleeping, he was afraid of his own wife. I think that along the same thought process that he was also afraid of confronting like NK and them, whoever's involved, and kind of saying like, I thought this is what I wanted to do. It sounded good while we were, maybe they were using drugs or whatever we've theorized over the summer. But him being so non-confrontational has always been the problem. Another reason why Tammy just kind of steered the way with the whole interview with him. And thank you, Anna. I appreciate that. So I know that you have a video about the glove. I refreshed my memory on it, even with the discovery here. And I, obviously searched the word nitrile, and it's talking about the light blue glove that was recovered. And now, interesting enough, it wasn't even recovered till the 15th. So not sure why it says the 15th if they're through the house right now. Don't they find, I don't know, maybe it wasn't logged in evidence until then, you think?
Yeah, and maybe I'm trying to think because I don't think we necessarily see the glove on top of the fridge in any of the body cam. It came from the photos, right?
Oh.
I'm trying to think now. I don't feel like we see the top of the fridge via body cam.
Right. You would almost think that it was like somebody standing up and like taking the photo. That'll be something we can iron out again. But what I did also notice, besides it stating that it was recovered on the 15th, is down here it says other light blue nitrile glove. So remember how we were kind of saying that one in the bedroom, some people think like that's not a glove. Other people are like, yes, it is a glove. We've always felt like it was a glove. It seems like like on different pages too of the discovery, and in different lists of other items too. In fact, one of them has pants that sounded like they thought might have been her pants, but we don't have like photos of that. Hold on.
Right. And once again, this would just be more stuff if this had not ended in a plea deal so quickly, we would have.
Mm-hmm. But it does seem like even according to the discovery, there is more than one nitrile glove. So I think that kind of backs up the whole, like, is that a glove? Is that not a glove? When it comes to that one that we see in the body cam footage in the bedroom.
Yes, agreed.
So, and hold on. I know that there's a part on here where it's naming the pants. And they said possibly the pants she came home in. Okay, yeah. Leggings, possibly last seen in. But we never see a picture of those.
Right. And the fact that they use the word possibly is interesting to me. It's like it wasn't ironed out at this point at the time of the report.
Right. Like it seems like there's like missing clothing still at the time of this report.
Yeah.
And notice also, okay, wait. Yeah, so that was recovered on the 15th too, or at least logged. Wow. I don't know. Just interesting. Now, I don't want to play your whole video, but I do want to play like a little bit of the one that you made because it lays it out so well. And if you guys check out her playlist, it's on there and you can see the beginning part of her video. It talks about the book and your theory about NK discussing the books. And it does sort of seem like she purposely brought up books in her interview. And it's almost like she was paving the way or getting ready to like cover her tracks, like in case you could theorize maybe like her fingerprints would be found on some of these books. I don't know.
Now, this is an example from August 13th. Officer Coonrod looks underneath Bella's bed and either does not see the book and the rock are not there, or he does see the book and or the rock and he just chooses not to take it. But here's his check and he comes up empty-handed. So that's up for speculation. Was the book placed there later when Chris had the entire night to clean, or did Coonrod just overlook the book or not think it was important? It has to be one of those three options. We don't know. So this is body cam from August 14th when Jane and her dog are searching the home, and Officer Kate Lyons is present as well. Jane calls Kate into the bed, Officer Lyons into the bedroom, and you can hear the dog barking.
I just want to pause it real quick because you said something. Hi, Roxanne. Good to see you. You said something that really got me thinking, like about like when that book was kind of placed there under the bed. Even the one on the fridge. It's like he was in the house for a few days at this point, and we know that he cleaned because things were moved around and put in different places and all that. You know, you would think that if he wanted to hide something, he would have gotten rid of it completely, you know? So it's like, did he leave the nitrile glove on top of the fridge for them to find it? Did he leave the book on the fridge also for them to find it, and the one under her bed, you know? And if they did have someone else's fingerprints on it, you know, it's just, you almost wonder if it was purposely left there and not like cleaned up for a reason. Like if we're talking about how passive Chris can be and non-confrontational, like there's instances where it seems like he's laying like breadcrumbs for the officers to kind of pick up on without directly throwing them under the bus. And like Derek said, he would like to know what size the gloves are. That would help at least to figure out a gender. The other thing I was thinking too is when we have the discovery page pulled up, it talks about the serial number that could be filled in and stuff like that. Like all that could be checked. Like you could check an item serial number and realize the barcode and all that. Like, where was this glove box purchased? Was it at Target? Like Chris purchased stuff at Target, you know what I mean? Or was it brought over by somebody else and they purchased it somewhere, and maybe they purchased it somewhere that's closer to like Leave Jim Alone's house, or Danielle who came in town brought them, or NK bought them out near Thornton. Like all that stuff would be traced to a store specifically, and you would know like the origins of this blue glove. So like you said, Derek, like the size of the gloves, we want to know. You obviously need to put your hand on the glove, like your opposite hand when you're dressing a glove on your hand. You know, there's fingerprints, there's oils, there's touch DNA on those gloves, like the one on the fridge and the one found in the bedroom. You know, all that are questions that we just never got answered because of no trial and the plea deal ending the investigation, yada, yada. So it's very important to kind of go through these things and realize like this sort of like could point towards it being somebody else with him. You know, it's his own house, his own wife. Like, of course, his DNA and stuff would be found there. Like, what is the need for the gloves?
Exactly. And like you were just saying, that's such a good point. Was there a box of gloves in the house where they were missing from? Or like you said, were they brought in by somebody else? Were they bought that Friday by Chris at Target? Like so many questions surrounding that.
And also just, yeah, like you said, like just so many questions surrounding just this blue glove. It's hard not to wonder, you know, where this would have led, basically.
What's that? Yep. See if you can go in. Here. Got a book under there and a rock.
So she just said, got a book under there and the rock. And we are going to see the officer pull out the book, but we do not see the rock.
Oh, hello. Just a big book.
And for the dog to be alerting the way it was, I mean, there's a significant scent there for the dog to be acting that way. And Jane even says, that's what she was trying to tell you. Isn't it funny going back and looking at our editing and seeing how far they've come?
Yeah. I'm like, why did I leave all that white right there?
It still gets the job done, and I think it's a good video. That's the thing is, like, all this stuff, like, and more is on her playlist, and we've just gone through it for so many years, like, you could see a huge progression in, like, our visual, stuff, so, yeah, the dog was trying to tell her something.
No storage or nothing. Nope. Now see, this is a bed though, so stuff will go down. You think somebody sleeping in there?
Oh, that was my glasses.
Now, did you get everything?
Yeah, do you want me to pull the book out? It's literally right here.
Oh.
That's it?
Consent.
Uh-huh.
That's what he was showing me.
Okay, that's what it is. I'm going to step back in the laundry room for a second.
So here's a picture of the book that the officer pulled out from under Bella's bed. And then here is a post from Shanann's Facebook. This is the same book that was found under her bed. She wrote on May 18th, 2018, "Tonight when I put Bella to bed, I told her to pick out a short book, 1,000 pages later. Hashtag she loves books, hashtag can't discourage it." So in my opinion, it's possible that Bella, whatever was going on that morning, got scared and took that book and possibly hid under her bed with it. And again, it could mean nothing. That's why I want to talk through this, because I'm curious what everybody else thinks. And then we also still have the questionable rock. So I want to show you that let's see, beside Shanann's bedside, she has a salt lamp with individual salt rocks in the basket. And a salt rock was out underneath the window. You can see it right there where my mouse is moving. So some people are saying, well, maybe it was just a piece of salt from beside the bed that Bella grabbed. It could be. It could be a crystal. It could be a rock from outside. We just don't know. So moving on to the second book. This book was found on top of the kitchen refrigerator with this blue glove. And the blue glove is listed in discovery that it was found there and that it was taken into evidence. Like I said previously, we don't have the results back on the glove. Now, on the topic of blue gloves, on August 13th, there is what appears to be at least one blue glove, it's hard to tell, on the floor of the master bedroom. And you can see Coonrod shuffling through things. I put this.
So I'm going to pause it there because you can kind of see it down by his foot. Again, I think that stuff in the discovery kind of signifies that that was the other blue glove, and that they've listed them twice in the discovery, one as the one on the fridge, and then whatever this other one is, I think is this one here at the bedroom. Now, Tater says, something about her dyeing her hair. Somebody did. Hooptastic, I think. Thank you, everyone who's joined too. Like, appreciate you guys being here. Robin, Adrian, Seth. Yeah, the dog knows something. So the thing too about the gloves is she did dye her hair. I just feel like Shanann is someone who wouldn't put the glove on her bedroom floor or on top of the fridge. I just feel like there's a place for everything in that house, and it just wouldn't be in those random spots if it was from Shanann dyeing her hair. Not only that, but like the hair boxes that she would get came with gloves. So usually, they get like hair dye on it or whatever. I just don't think that there would be two gloves in random places just because she dyed her hair. But that's just my opinion.
I agree. And I've gotten that comment too, as well, over the years when we discussed this aspect of it. And I'm with you. I do not feel like it makes sense for one to be on the fridge and one to be on the bedroom floor like this. Also, again, it would be interesting to know, like, was there remnants of hair dye on the glove? If not, then okay, that eliminates that she was using them. Then if we actually knew if there was a box of nitrile gloves that matched those two in the house that were under the sink or under somewhere that would make sense, then maybe we could be like, okay, maybe for some reason a child got a hold of it and Shanann put it up on top of the fridge or whatever. But again, without knowing the origin of those gloves, like what box they belong to, where they were purchased, I know that Amber and I will forever question it.
Yeah, and I agree with virtual asylum. As someone who's done the box dye at home, like usually you're not getting like medical blue gloves. You're
Yeah.
getting like clear ones or white ones. Yeah, there'd be dye on the gloves. I mean, if they were used for sure. Some people said that there's a video of her dyeing her hair and she doesn't have any gloves on. So everything in this case, like especially with all the stuff that she would vlog, sometimes you can find your answers just looking through her videos, or at least a pattern. So let's go back to the bedroom where they're using no gloves, and this is the search warrant. And yeah, we've seen them walk up the stairs, touching the railings without gloves on. I mean, all that. I don't even think there's anything. We kind of looked it up after our last stream. Nothing in the discovery states that they like brushed things for fingerprints. I know that the defense team went in there and there were like evidence markers around places. So we would have to kind of refresh that footage and go through that information again. But it's just, yeah, Stephanie says, I'm late. Where were the gloves found and when? So this is day one still. This is when they've come back with the search warrant and they are in the bedroom shuffling through the pillows on the floor because we know all the bedding was taken off. And again, things were kind of strange looking in the house too, which is why I think Baumhofer has that conversation with Chris that we kind of couldn't hear very well, but he says something like just saying how it looks or something, not saying you're guilty or something like that. And he left. I think that Baumhofer was like, something's not right about that scene. We need to go in there. And the judge approved a search warrant. So something was up and they should have been treating the scene a little more carefully, especially because you see Jane and them go in with the dog on the next day and they're wearing gloves. So clearly somebody was thinking like, okay, like we should do things differently or something. You know what I mean? Like, why was there gloves on the next days, but not that first day? You know what I mean?
Right. And also, I just had seen somebody earlier in chat mention like, okay, well, they were just officers or something like that. But I think we also need to note that Detective Baumhofer had also been here at this point and left. So I would have hoped that the detective, he is a level up from just a police officer, right, would have said, okay, from here on out, we're going to ask him to sign this warrant. Let's put gloves on as you go through it, please. Like, exactly. It's just been completely contaminated.
Yeah. So again, for those who didn't know, there was one found on top of the fridge and the other one found in the bedroom on the floor. And now we're back in the room.
The only thing that are missing are the kids' blankets. What's that? The only thing that's gone is the kids' blankets, like their binkies. That's why they won't go anywhere without them. They are gone? Yep. Car seats are in the car. Keys are in the on the center console of the car. Her cash, all of her ID, everything's still here. Phone's here.
Okay, I do remember what I was going to say. Now, with the theory of there being sort of her taken out maybe after a sedation, like with some drugs, chloroform, all that, would you be handling some chemicals with gloves on? That's always kind of been floating around in my mind. I don't know if you're still with me there when we're talking about like the uses of these gloves and like why they're there. Was something being mixed or handled that was something that sedated her? Now, the autopsies are not in full. Chloroform is out of your bloodstream after a certain amount of time. So by the time they got her, could they have tested that stuff? There was strange substances found in her autopsy. I can't go through them because I'm not a medical examiner, but there were substances found, something like N-butanol that is found in some chemicals that I don't know. It's in her autopsy, but pretty much something says something about could be used to sedate. Do you remember that?
I do vaguely. Yeah. And I feel like that is on the table. I'm with you on that. And again, the fact we don't have the entire autopsy report, leaves it open for speculation.
And the fact that she didn't fight back,
Mm-hmm.
that is huge red flag. Like that alone has always puzzled so many people following this case when they say that there were no defensive wounds and Shanann didn't fight back. That could be because of sedation, theoretically. Oh my goodness, really, sweet dude? I just saw your comment come through on my phone quicker than StreamYards. That is ridiculous. Criminality live stream just got shut down by Murder Sheet copyright strike. Oh my God. See, that's the thing is like Delphi case, you guys think the Watts case is crazy. That takes the cake. Trust me, Kelly. Like you're lucky you didn't get into that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
It's crazier than Watts Island. But oh my gosh, I can't I'm gonna have to message her as soon as possible after this. That's crazy. So yeah, there is like a lot of different theories on why she didn't fight back. The other thing too that could kind of lean towards a possible sedation is like her hyoid bone in her neck wasn't even like damaged at all. Where in most strangulations, in cases that you can look up, I mean, you can see it out there, forensic files, everything kind of talks about this bone that's very fragile that usually gets broken in the victim's necks. Hers was completely intact. So what do I mean by sedated? Like, so she's not fighting the person strangling her. So they actually don't have to use that much force and pressure, just enough to kind of cut this oxygen flow off. So again, it's just a theory.
Well, just the blanket, their safety blankets were, their little safety net blankets are gone. They don't go anywhere without them.
And did they ever find those blankets, Kelly?
I feel like that's been kind of debated, but I do not remember for sure. I cannot remember.
I'm with you. Like it's been something that people have said, no, here it says something about something in his truck or something, like on a police note.
There was some note that mentioned toys or blankets, but then some people were like, oh, well, no, that's what they were looking for in the truck. Other people are saying, no, that's what they actually found in the truck.
Right. And none of it's listed. There's no blankets or toys listed in the evidence stuff, like the logs.
And then there's the debate, like he also say he left something at the field and that, oh, well, maybe it just blew away.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I was literally going to say, and in the interview with Tammy, I believe, he says, she asked him, I think, what would be found underneath the sheet at Survey, how there's that one fitted sheet. And he says, maybe the toys or blankets. And like you said, he says something about like something blowing away. So when we get into all that, we'll refresh it. But yeah, I'm with you on like, he did say that these items would be found at Survey.
And then, Liz Lyons, that's another theory. Did he throw them away during that stop that he made before going home?
Right. And that definitely is possible too, but just never proven as fact.
Right. And then Hoop Static's comment, he did have that mark on his face or neck in the porch interview. So he did have a mark. And this is, again, one of my very first videos. It's brought up when he takes his shirt off and Tammy's in the room with the officer. She's taking photos. She mentions the mark. And before Chris can answer as to what it is, I think she says something like, what's that on your neck? A mosquito bite or something? And he's like, mm-hmm. And so we'll never know like what Chris's answer or excuse or whatever for that mark would be because Tammy put it out there that it was a mosquito bite and he agreed. And then it's listed in discovery as Chris had a mosquito bite on his neck. And it's just like, once again, that drove me crazy. It still does.
That wasn't even true.
Exactly. We don't know what the heck it was. Like he never got to answer on his own or have to stumble or come up with anything. Like Tammy gave it to him. He said, mm-hmm, done.
Yeah. And Lynn Art, that's the other, theory about where the blankets and stuff went. The dumpster down the block where the dog hid at. However, the dog, we don't know that is like factual because the dog, the scent that the dog was picking up was sent from the house. They kept saying it's picked up the scent from a house, and Paul's dog also picked up the scent from the house down here. So was it those the blankets and stuff, or was it Chris walking down there with people before Shanann got home? And because remember, that's the same area the bullets are found. Something took place down there. Now, either it's the clothing and stuff are in those dumpsters and that's what the dog was picking up and the bullets are like not related, or is it all connected? The scent from the house, remember that, because it's not the scent of cadaver or death. It's, it's kind of vague. So it's open for interpretation. Like, I definitely think that it's possible he could have thrown the stuff out, but at the same time, like, we don't know that as factual. And the marking on his neck, I kind of had a theory that it was like he was holding one of the girls and somebody was like, he was putting them down or something and they like scratched his neck. Like kind of being like pulled away, or like he's putting them down and their arms are around his neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, it's just a theory.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I just would have loved if Tammy would have asked the question and stopped talking so that we could have heard Chris's either quick response, or was he going to stumble over his words? Like, what would his response have been?
Yeah. And what if he did say that it was something else, like they would have had to like swab his neck. Like, was that neck ever swabbed? Like, would it have come back saying,
yeah.
oh, this has mosquito DNA on it? Like, I don't even know if that's a thing.
Right.
Or would it have pulled back and said, and there was, someone else's DNA on it? Like, what if it wasn't the girl's neck, or fingernails on his neck, like I was theorizing it? What if it's somebody else? And then Tammy would have had to explain, like, so it was easier for Tammy to say mosquito bite and just make it go away, because if it comes back as like, oh, it's actually someone else's DNA, and like, were you in like a squabble with someone, or,
Yeah, it just like introduces a potential, other party into the whole crime.
Exactly. And what perfect way to eliminate that? Oh, mosquito bite?
Yeah, write that in the notes. Okay.
Yeah, put it in the notes and the discovery as fact. People are going to believe it.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. If you guys want more discovery digging too, and like statements, we have a whole bunch of live streams where we compare like statements verbally made by people in interviews and then what Tammy wrote as like her notes and like synopsises. So it's just interesting. Like, there were discrepancies.
Kids' bedrooms.
I believe they
This
did
was
take nail
locked.
clippings from Shanann
You
too
open it
during
up,
the
let's look in
autopsy.
here,
I
you
think
said to
that's
keep it locked
stated.
so the kids don't come
Yeah, that sounds right that they did.
make a mess.
Smelling water in this toilet.
Now, the no water in the toilet, like I kind of gone back and forth on, is it something or is it nothing? And is this the same bathroom that they had the doors locked for?
Yeah, it is.
Because I get locking the doors so the girls don't go in there, but like if there's no water in the toilet, then what are you afraid of?
Right. That's an interesting point.
So it's like one of those things in the case where I've been like, oh, it's probably nothing, that Shanann, or I'd be the same way. If my little one goes upstairs and wants to play and I'm like downstairs, as long as I can pull her up on the camera and like know I can hear her, she kind of maybe let their little ones do the same. Like Bella or Celeste want to go upstairs and play, then the least she knows that there's no water in the toilet, you know what I mean, that they'll get into. But here, like, they have the door locked too. So it's like one of those things. And also the shower curtain being pulled back. Now, Chris has already stayed at this place already for a few nights, I think, at this point, or at least one. So did he move the shower curtain back to, I don't know. Do you have your shower curtain back? Because I know some people always have it. Oh, I feel like Shanann always had it like closed, like she would show it, like the
Right.
whole curtain.
Mine usually stays closed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris did say they got into Vaseline, but I think Frank Sr. mentioned water once. They would
Yeah,
play
it's
in the
just one of
water.
those things. Like, I don't know if the no water in the toilet is something or nothing. What do you think?
Same.
Yeah.
I'm on the fence. But I do think that this was Monday, right? That they're here. So he hadn't slept in the
You're
house
right. You're
yet.
right.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You're right. So this is the state that it pretty much was found in because Nicole Atkinson and them couldn't get in here because it was closed and locked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I just feel like for Shanann to have like the pattern on it and do it all up, she's not somebody that would leave it open.
Yeah. And then again, not trying to get ahead, but the next day, Jane even kind of pauses on the toilet too and is like, mentions sediment, I think, and she has the officer come in and look at it too. So that's always been interesting as well.
Yeah. It's just a lot of people are kind of feeling like it's strange. Like, why is there no water in the crapper? Yeah. And the thing too, Chase, is there's water at the top. Don't they come in and kind of open it?
Yes, I can't remember if it's the officers today who open it or if it's Jane and Officer Lines who open it.
And like Ontario says, dumped the carpet cleaner liquid down there, possibly from the tank of the vacuum from the mess on the stair carpet. So along the same lines of that, because like we've talked about this before, if you dump a bucket down your toilet, sometimes it'll just flush the whole like the pot and it will have water at the top until you flush it again, but it kind of empties the bowl out. So when we're talking about um something being done like with chemicals or something, maybe I don't know, but was something dumped down these drains? And then Chris mentions something in the prison interview about the pipes being flushed or something.
Yeah, I
Do you
think he
remember?
asked, like, is somebody checking the pipes or I don't remember exactly, but he did mention the pipes.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like majority of chat is thinking there's something weird about no water in there. And in my opinion, even now I'm thinking it's weird that the shower curtain is even pulled back.
Now, that's
Something I never
something
really noticed.
we need to look at when Jane is in there if the shower curtain is moved. I've never thought about that. So let's note for when Jane and Kate are in there if the curtain's open or closed.
Yes, and that'd be a good TikTok too to kind of like point out the no water in the toilet. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because it gets a conversation going, like even in chat, like is it something or is it just nothing? But it
Mm-hmm.
seems kind of like a red flag for a lot of people.
Yeah. Coupled with, again, sorry, I was going to say,
You're
coupled with
fine.
like the locked door and all that, like it's not what that's the thing with this case that I think that a lot of people who just know the surface of the case from mainstream media or reading an Inside Edition article or watching a mainstream documentary, it's so surface level. But once you really get into it, one thing leads to another question, which snowballs into something else. And that's why I think that we're all still here, is because there are still just so many questions.
Right. And like Christina says, she says, I picture Shanann keeping the toilet baby proof instead of no water, like how they have those little locks on toilets and stuff like that. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I could see that too, because she did have like every little knickknack for the kids and all that. And then, like Desiree said, and the key was in Watt's pocket. So it's just coupled with no water in the toilet and the shower curtain pulled back and that door was locked. There's something weird there, like in accumulation. Seth, I see you. I just get too excited when CDT comes on because we have like so much to comb through that if I miss your guys' comments in chat, it's just I'm just hanging out with my friend on a live stream.
I know it's hard to see and like respond to a lot of them. It goes quick.
And the autopsies were sealed as a stipulation in the plea deal. Don't know why. Yeah, why would he be carrying around a bathroom key if it didn't flush and no one was in there?
Yes, Tony, good. Same thoughts.
Yeah.
Really nice house, huh?
Yeah.
So on day 1, they didn't even pull out the book or the rock because they're looking under Bella's bed.
Yeah.
Was it not under there? Or
Exactly. And then I know I see a lot of people still say, like, oh, NK put a crystal under Bella's bed, or a crystal was found under Bella's bed. And while that may be the case, like, all we can truly refer to it as is a rock. Like, it's still, once again, a big question mark. Where the rock came from? Did it match the landscaping rocks from the home? Was it a rock? Was it the salt lamp rock? Like, so many questions, but we can't say it was a crystal, and we can't say where it came from, and we cannot say if it was there on Monday.
in your video, the whole one, if you watch it, guys, it pretty much talked about how Chris looked up certain like rocks and stones and on his phone or whatever, and it's like, again, but it wasn't one of those, I don't think. So like you said, it's open for interpretation, but I've noticed that people are stating it as like a crystal for a fact. And I don't know if that came from Sherilyn Cadle or what, but it's
Ooh,
always been a rock.
yeah, it might have came from Cadle. That just like triggered a memory that annoys me. But yeah, it might have came from Cadle. But I'm with you. Like, trust me, I have tried to pause the video where Jane pulls out the book, or Kate, whichever one. Anyway, they pull out the book. You can see the book. I cannot get a picture of this rock. But yeah, all we can say is a rock. That's what it's referred to as. We cannot call it a crystal. We can't say it was not a crystal. We can't say it was not a rock, and we don't know where it came from.
I don't even know if the book under her bed or the rock is in the discovery.
Yeah, I don't know either.
That's something we'll have to look up while I play this. And hello, Zawoki. It's good to. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, but I don't know, Kelly. I've shared some of his stuff in our group. He's doing a lot of Watts content, and he keeps the case moving. So it's good, and chat's loving to see you here. So thanks for joining us. So yeah, I want to know for sure if that's mentioned. Let me look up discovery stuff right now while I play this. But as of right now, day 1, I don't know if they just didn't pull the book out or what, or the rock, but nothing is being pulled out from under Bella's bed by the cops on day 1. Florida bass fishing is late.
Shocker.
But it's also interesting too, to think about how they don't have the dogs with them on this search warrant, obviously. So if the book was under there and the rock is under there, like the officer isn't looking at it with the dog's nose like the next one does, you know? So they might have seen it but thought, nothing really big. But the dog is telling the humans something that like everyone else just can't see with their own eyes, you know? And there's something to that book and that rock that had that dog freaking out.
Yeah, very true.
That would be fun. Would have to plan that.
The bathroom between them was locked. He did unlock it and let us look in there.
Which door? This one?
Both of them. They lock them both so the kids don't get in there and get into stuff. He said he said he left it unlocked before and they got in with like Vaseline and made a huge mess.
And if that's the case and you just put something out of a kid's reach, it's just one of those things where it's like Chris lies so much that it's you just don't know. Like, yes, we actually have pictures of Shanann showing that Bella got into a bunch of lotion. So it was something that could definitely take place with toddlers, but unfortunately, there's no water in there and it's an easy fix to kind of put the Vaseline in a area that they can't reach, you know what I mean? So it's just I don't just write it off like these officers seem to just be kind of writing it off as like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the fact that he had the key in his pocket is another thing. The Officer Coonrod runs his hand on the top of the door frame, no key, goes back out to where Chris is talking to Baumhofer, and then Chris walks in. There is no reach up from Chris. He had the key on him. So, once again, like we talked about, one topic or one little thing will then spiral into a snowball of questions and wonderings. This is just another example.
Right. And now I'm just thinking, well, for one, Zawoki, thank you for gifting 5 memberships, and Pizza Chemist. Good to see you guys. And you guys, I hope you have a happy holiday or Christmas if you celebrate it. And thank you so much. You just got me thinking, like, so it was in Chris's pocket, and we've always, and other people have thought that Chris gets that wedding ring out of the car, out of the Lexus. What if the key to the bathroom was in there?
Yeah, I've seen people say that as well. Maybe that's what he got from the Lexus, was the bathroom key. And then again, if it was the bathroom key, why was it in the Lexus? Like, another snowball effect.
Yeah. And I know that people have like zoomed in, including Zawoki on, like it does look like it is a ring, but it's like, it's, who knows? You know what I mean? A key could easily look similar. And hello, Brooks. Good to see you.
And I've been looking through Discovery, just kind of searching, and I'm not seeing anything so far about the book or the rock under Bella's bed.
And that's the thing is, like, that should have been significant with the dog's reaction.
Pillows, lock them in. It's actually a pretty good idea.
Oops, sorry, Florida. Interesting that the closet door in the playroom was like open.
Yeah, that is interesting. I never really thought about that before.
Like, I just feel like Shanann's the type of person that, and Chris for that matter, there's stuff like clutter and stuff isn't going to be like open for people to see. Like, she likes things to look a certain way. So it's like, what was taking place in that room last? Was someone scared and hiding in there?
And then that's another thing to look at once Jane is there with the dog. I think we get a pretty good view of this room. So I wonder if this door is open by the next day or not.
Yeah, I'm just going to rewind that again just for a second. Interesting. Yeah, that just looks out of place. I don't know how chat is thinking. Yeah, Zowoki is sucked in. He said, this case is on my mind every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've taken long breaks, but it's just something we enjoy going through. And something new always stands out.
Yeah, definitely.
So she's a stay-at-home mom?
She's a stay-at-home mom, but she works from home. And she does all the work through her phone.
Yeah, I feel like we theorized this too, Kelly, about like maybe she was hiding under her bed and that's why the book, her favorite book, was under there.
Yeah. Definitely. Especially, yeah, coupled with the dog reacting right there.
Yeah, the closet is strange. Because it being a kid's room, the playroom, it's like that was a comfortable area. If somebody was hiding and retreating, they might go there, you know? And then it was kept open.
Her phone was on this couch, turned off.
On this couch?
On this couch, turned off.
Okay, one more thing real quick. The way Coonrod just described it, her phone was on this couch turned off, but really it was buried in the couch. It wasn't just on the couch. Like, that's just another little thing that's like communication and the way you say things matters. And I don't know, like there's a big difference between the phone kind of being buried in the cushions versus just on the couch.
Yes, and that's not the first thing that Coonrod has kind of like misinterpreted.
Yeah.
There was a point, I think, in our last stream where the same officer, somebody asked him when they're in the office about, or maybe when they're looking through, either way, something about whose EpiPen is this or something, or who has a allergy or whatever. And Coonrod was like, not sure, something like that. But it's like, that was stated like already, like Nicole Atkinson, that was part of her like alert. Like, and Sandy, I know, said something to somebody on the phone about like the kids' medications, like she wouldn't leave without it. So there were people who were telling Coonrod, like, no, that they need medication, like they wouldn't just leave it and all this stuff. And then when they come back for the search warrant, and they're in the office or something, they ask him and he was like, he didn't answer it like appropriately. And I'm just like, was he even like awake like when they were doing this earlier? Like, I don't mean just to trash Coonrod, but let's face it, this was a big like situation. And I think that he's maybe not used to it at the time in his career. You know, obviously he didn't expect it. See, Derek, I don't think that that's suspicious, but you're not the first one who said that it's weird that and he's or confused why Nicole Atkinson's kid is digging into the couch. Just suspicious, in my opinion. You're not the first one to say that. I just think when you're looking for things and they already knew that her car keys and car were there. So what would be next? Like, she's not answering her phone. Maybe it's in the house somewhere too, you know, and who knows? He might have been downstairs off the body cam, like searching those couch cushions, you know? So for me, like when I lose my phone, I will go to the couch as like one of my main areas. Like, okay, let me feel between these cushions. Like, is it in here? So while you're not the first one to say that that's weird, I just personally don't think him finding it in the cushions is weird. But what do you think, Kelly?
I'm kind of with you. Like, I think at that point they were just digging. I think that they felt very comfortable in Shanann's home. And the couch cushions is somewhere I always look if I've lost a remote or a phone. So, but I personally don't find anything suspicious about NA or her son. I just think like it is possible, and I haven't really studied this too much, but I do think it's possible that they gained entry into the home somehow through a window or whatever, because the front door was latched. But yeah, I do think that's possible. Maybe a couple things were already found and then replaced. I don't know, but I just do not think anything is nefarious about NA or her son or anything like that.
Yeah, I agree for the most part. Yep. And hello, Maligator. Good to see you. Another bathroom with the shower curtain pulled back a little bit. Not as much as the other bathroom, but I don't know.
Yeah, good catch.
Thank you, Tom N. It's good to see you and happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you. Everything's going well. Hope the same for you.
They're not here.
Hey, you?
What?
Okay.
No. I think it's this one on the counter.
See, and right here, this is why it bothers me how NK said, I didn't go into any of the rooms. I just saw the playroom and said, it's super cute. Your girls have books. In my opinion, it would have been really hard to see the books from the doorway because you see
Yes.
this wall to the left. You have to peek your head around it to see the books. They're not where you can look through the doorway and see them. So she went in there or at least peeked her head in, but she phrased it as if she didn't.
Mm-hmm. And again, it's just kind of like, what are the reasons that things are said sometimes? And it's,
Mm-hmm.
you know, we see the book found on top of the fridge and we see the book found underneath Bella's bed that the dog was kind of going crazy at. And then she mentions books. So it's like, is she just trying to lay the groundwork to be like, well, I told you guys, like I seen that they had books, all this stuff. Like if her prints would have been found on those items. Now she did mention that she was already in the house before, you know, but it just she also mentioned she never met the kids, and I feel like she did, especially maybe even this night.
They are organized, aren't they?
Like super organized.
Hello, Riddler.
Hey, did we go in the backyard at all, Kenny?
I did not. Well, I walked around initially trying to look in.
You didn't see nothing?
I didn't see anything out of place, but I was more focused on looking in, not at the yard.
And, you know, and notice he didn't say he checked the windows.
Right. Good point.
Because it just kind of tells you exactly what everyone says in a way that, like, yeah, they just thought it was a missing person or whatever at that point. Or, you know, I just think that in hindsight's always 20/20, but Coonrod, I think the windows aspect, not checking every single one and seeing if it was open or locked or not, like that, we don't know for sure because from what we see, not every single one was checked. Like I'm talking the perimeter, even the ones in the living room in the front, like I don't think he checked those ones either. And he says that nothing looks out of like when Nicole Atkinson was showing that little spot in the stairway, and he's like, "Oh, I don't think it's blood," and there's no signs of forced entry. Nothing really looks out of place. When we know that the whole office looked out of place, and the bedroom, the sheets off the bed. So there were just things that I just feel like, unfortunately, if we could go back and do things, I'm sure they would change things too. But it would have mattered when we went to trial and if we needed to find out like fingerprints and all that, like it's hard to know without knowing if all those windows were locked.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just also weird, like the curtains in the kitchen there always closed, like that we see on the body cam footage, but the shower curtains are open.
Yeah.
Water in there.
Come on. Jump down in the window well. At first they said she was diabetic, so I was thinking maybe she was passed out.
And it just kind of confirms it to hear Coonrod. First, they were saying she was diabetic, so I was thinking she passed out. So it seems like he's almost saying, like, now he's thinking something totally different, maybe.
I jumped out in the window wells, trying to look in the windows. Nothing. 'Cause at first they said she was diabetic, so I was thinking maybe she's passed out. So I was trying to get in, but then...
Did he show up?
He finally, yeah, he showed up. Because they called him and said, "Get your ass home." So I'm trying to get, like, the garage door opener key. He said that didn't work. He said the button thing doesn't work. Garage door's pretty much shut down.
Then he came home and let you in?
He came home and let me in.
What doesn't work? The garage door opener?
He said
The password on the outside, the code one, doesn't work.
Can you close it from the outside?
I don't know.
Well, we need to figure that out.
Yeah, like people are like, why are you asking me that? Well, it matters.
That whole garage door situation definitely matters because remember, Chris had been saying, I got an alert that my garage door was left open, but when Nicole Atkinson got here, it was closed. So yeah, for them to kind of be like, I don't know. It's like, but remember, like he didn't just tell one officer. We counted 3 of them.
Yes.
And in Baumhover's notes, he said that he thought it was odd that Chris kept mentioning that garage door. And people commented saying like, that's because Chris is trying to make it look like the garage was a possible exit for Shanann and the girls. And it's like, I can see where you could interpret that and that, you could maybe take that away from him telling every single officer that. But at the same time, he was also telling the officers that my neighbor has a security footage and he didn't see anything. So how can it be both? That he's trying to say that he's trying to make it seem like the girls left out through the garage, but then also saying to the same officers that the security camera next door didn't catch anything from my neighbors. So to me, the whole garage door thing was him trying to like alert indirectly, like, yeah, that's kind of weird. We should look into that. And it just didn't go down that way.
Yeah, it's been closed since I've been here.
the front door was locked, right?
I think he hit his garage door opener.
No, I'm saying.
He said it's been closed since I got here, but it's like, no, Chris went through the garage.
said she was diabetic, so I was thinking maybe she was passed out.
I jumped out in the window well, I was trying to look in.
What doesn't work? The garage door opener?
You said
The password on the outside, the code one, doesn't work.
Can you close it from the outside?
I don't know.
Well, we need to figure that out.
It hasn't been closed since I've been here.
the front door was locked, right?
I think he hit his garage door opener.
No, I'm saying,
Front door was locked.
was the deadbolt locked?
The top deadbolt, you could open it like 3 inches and it
Locks.
Okay, so she had to get out through the garage.
Garage because this door is closed.
Locked. Has a slider lock. So she had to leave through the garage.
Come here, pups.
So the slider was locked, and they're theorizing that she had to leave through the garage. And it's like, what Chris is saying is true, and that, she was home and all that when he left for work, then yes. But it's almost like they're not even thinking into the consideration of like, well, maybe that wasn't true what he said.
Right. Or the fact that those basement windows, like you could come in and out of those.
Yeah. And that's stated right by Chris, that they were ground level garden style windows. And now correct me if I'm wrong. Hello, Melissa Jade. Good to see you and Merry Christmas. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't somebody state that people were going in and out of the backyard or something?
I don't remember that.
Okay.
So
that's the thing, it's been a while on certain things that I know that you'll help me kind of like figure it out, but okay.
And see, that's again just like my house has storm windows. And so it would be like a quicker assessment, and my windows are all higher up, to be like, okay, well, she went out the front or the garage or her garage back door. But like here, they're completely overlooking the basement windows. That really bugs me.
I know, especially the fact that the houses behind them were not occupied. There was construction back there. And
again, like Nate mentioned that Chris said tools had been missing. So, and even other neighbors when canvassing mentioned there had been a break-in, I think, or something. So once again, it's just like all these little things that in hindsight we're picking up on. And again, we're not trying to sit here and say we know better or that we could do better. But I do think that it is worth discussing. We're allowed to do that. That's all that we're doing. But in hindsight, it's just very frustrating to just see it completely overlooked with the basement. Exactly like you were saying, Amber. All those houses in the background, who they could have brought in criminal activity because there were, number one, like materials, number two, places you can hide in those houses possibly. I mean, you just don't know. And it's just like so frustrating to me that it just seemed like so much was overlooked.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, these things are important to go through and do correctly, because how many times have you been called like a conspiracy theorist because you think that there's more to this crime than just Chris acting alone? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I would love to just go through this stuff and say like, okay, they checked every window, they were all locked, and this adds up and that adds up and everything's squared away. But when things are done incorrectly, it doesn't help people who have a feeling that there's more to this iron it out. You know what I mean? Like, we've gone through and we've seen that Minnie Mouse towel on the curtain, and we've been like, that's weird. Why is that there? What were they hiding in the basement that they wanted that Minnie Mouse towel brought up? And then over time, web sleuths have just said like, oh, well, actually, no, we found a picture of the backyard from years ago and that Shanann posted, and it had the Minnie Mouse towel on there. So then we look back and we're like, oh, okay, then that's nothing. It's not to be suspicious about. But when you're going through and you're like, people are doing things wrong that you can't even like verify and double check yourself, it becomes a problem. And You know, there's more to this story, and I think everyone kind of feels that way, who follow our channels at least. I just feel like over the years, there's more people who are open to the idea that there's more to this pretty much.
There's a house right on Steeple Rock that might have really good video, but they're not home. Because it's aiming towards Windham Hill and Steeple Rock.
So he said there's a house on Steeple Rock that might have really good footage. So I wonder if that was ever followed up on. Like if that house
Yes.
had like camera, body or
That's
a
worth looking
doorbell
into.
camera. Hmm?
I said that's definitely worth looking into.
Because I feel like Steeple Rock sounds familiar in the discovery, but I don't know. Obviously, we don't have the footage or we'd be viewing it, but I wonder if that was ever like, I don't know. We'll keep that in mind.
Right next door, he's got it and it aims this way. It hits between, there's a tree and the garage. So at 527, Chris goes out, gets his truck, backs into the driveway.
And what time was that?
527 this morning. He said he had to load up a bunch of tools. The neighbor said he never does that. You know, really just grabs his backpack or whatever and walks out to the car, throws it in and leaves. This morning he backs in, and it's on video at 527. But he backs like into the garage partially because you can't see like the tailgate area, so you can't see what he's loading. You don't see him loading anything up. And I mean, if you look in the back of the truck, it's still full of stuff. There's no room to put anything.
And we watched the rest of the video to see if anybody came after that?
Yeah, he watched it and he said there's nothing. He said it's really good. It'll pick up any kind of carb movement, but it never at 148. When your RP drops her off, it doesn't pick her up, pulling in. It doesn't see the wife getting out. It just picks her up, backing up and leaving. So it's kind of choppy. She could have left. Yeah. So I'm just trying to get more video to. What?
5 3-year-old, both girls.
Yeah. Come on, let's go.
No, we went in the back, so she's in the house now. Okay. So does your garage door pad work?
No, not on the outside. There's a radiator right here, and every time something right here got busted and it pulls out. So you'd have to just hold it down, but it won't do anything. It's 2385 is the code, but I can never get it to do anything.
Can you close the garage from out here?
I gotta have the
opener?
Yeah. With you.
And so, does she have an opener?
Yeah.
Let's go see if there's an opener. Is it a physical opener or is it programmed into the car?
It's a physical one, on the dash. Oh, on the visor. And then there's one as you walk out of the garage door too, from the side.
So there was a bottled water or something on their front porch that wasn't there earlier. I think it's his shaker, actually.
Okay, yeah, his shaker.
I don't know if this is just that same conversation or he doesn't have the camera or the mic on. Poor Dieter.
I know. mean, once again, just like no gloves.
Yeah, that's the thing is it goes on and on of like things that they're touching around here without gloves. It never ends for day one. But I think that's a good spot to stop. We still have a little bit left. Let me just okay, yeah, they're still gonna go through a little bit more of the Lexus on our next one. I believe they take pictures of the truck. Again, that I don't think Shanann was in that truck that morning, personally.
No. Okay, random, but I just typed in Steeple Rock into Discovery, and on page 239, it says another call. It says Steeple Rock Drive, stating that her garbage can is missing, and her address is about 4 doors down from the lady who is missing, wondering if this is related. So I wonder if that lady ever found her garbage can. Like, why is the garbage can missing? And
what page? I'm sorry.
no, you're totally fine. It's 239.
Okay.
Maybe 240. Yeah, 240 actually, towards the top.
Okay.
And it seems like the date, like I'm curious, I think the date would be 8/14. But yeah, I don't know. It's the first time I've ever seen that. It's just interesting that a garbage can is missing.
Yeah. And people, I think actually I don't
Yeah, it's the very top.
Yeah, the windiness, her flight was delayed because of wind, but in Arizona. So I don't think that it blew away. You know how that tends to happen.
Right.
4 houses down from Shanann. Wondered if this is related. I mean, I'm wondering that too now.
Yeah. Like
That
really.
would mean like somebody threw something out in someone else's trash and then also wanted to like make sure they were the ones that got rid of it.
Right. And then it's like, yeah, I mean, maybe hers was one of the garbage cans that blew. But I don't know. I'd like to know.
You would think you would find it eventually. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Very weird. And that is the street that Coonrod said there's a house that might have good footage, blah, blah, blah. So that's how we found that. So that's the thing about this case is like you just fall down rabbit holes, like without even trying to, pretty much.
Right.
A missing garbage can 4 houses down from the Watts. I don't know about you guys, but that's weird to me.
Yeah. Agreed.
Thank you for finding that and for joining us.
Of course.
Yeah, I've got her TikTok and channel linked in the description box and in chat. And again, I can't wait to dig more in with you. I hope you don't mind coming back.
Not at all. No, I enjoyed talking with you and everybody and looking back into the case for sure.
Okay, excellent.
I'm here for it.
And there'll be more rabbit holes to fall down on your TikTok with this case too. So I think people are going to like going on that platform for that as well. And I hope everyone has a good holiday and Christmas. So I'm going to go live tomorrow night on a different case, not Watts. I don't know what case, but yeah, Florida is like sad that we're going. Sorry. We can only do an hour and a half of this deep dive stuff because it's just so much. It really is like a lot to process. But yeah, you guys have a great holiday. Thank you to everyone who donated. Roxanne, you sent a wonderful package and thank you so much and Merry Christmas. And I'll see you guys if you want to join me for another case discussion tomorrow night, but I'm not going to be live until probably after Christmas. So Derek says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Pointer Lover, Merry Christmas. Thank you to all my mods and Pizza Chemists gifted 5 new memberships. Welcome to those members. Yeah, just we'll be in touch and we'll be digging through stuff. And again, thank you, Kelly, for coming on. and we'll talk very soon. And bye, everybody.
Bye.